Dad, the house money is still coming, right?
After what you did to your mother?
It was just one mistake.
No. It was the decision that cost you everything.
The night my son shoved his mother into a hotel wall, he thought the security cameras were broken. He was wrong. My name is Robert Hale. I was 63 years old when this happened, and I had spent most of my life building things that were supposed to last: houses, schools, office buildings, bridges. I also built a construction company from one pickup truck into a business that employed more than 400 people across 3 states. But the thing I was proudest of was my family. At least, I had been, my wife Ellen, and I raised one son, Michael. He was smart, ambitious, and good with people. When he joined my company after college, I made him start at the bottom. He carried supplies, checked measurements, and worked summer days so hot that the soles of his boots softened against the pavement. He complained sometimes, but he learned. By 32, he was a project manager. By 35, he was being considered for vice president of operations. Then he met Cassandra Whitmore. Cassandra came from a family that treated money like proof of character. Her father managed private investments. Her mother chaired charity events where the flowers cost more than some families earned in a month. Their house outside Boston had 12 bedrooms, even though only 2 people lived there. Ellen tried to like them. That was the kind of woman she was. She remembered birthdays. She brought food when someone was sick. She could walk into a room full of strangers and leave knowing which one had a lonely mother, which one had a child struggling in school, and which one needed a quiet word of encouragement. The Whitmores saw kindness as weakness. They never said that directly. People like them rarely did. Instead, Cassandra's mother would ask Ellen whether her dress was comfortable while looking at the label. Her father once told me it was impressive that a man with no family connections had managed to build a respectable regional company. Respectable. My company had constructed hospitals, public schools, and storm shelters. We had kept hundreds of families employed during a recession. But to him, I was still the man who poured concrete. Michael noticed the disrespect. At first, he defended us. Later, he began to laugh along. That should have warned me. The wedding was held at the Grand Meridian Hotel in Manhattan. Cassandra wanted a ballroom with crystal chandeliers, a 12-piece orchestra, and imported white roses covering every table. The total cost was more than I had paid for my first warehouse. The Whitmores handled most of the wedding. Ellen and I promised Michael a $100,000 gift after the ceremony. We intended it as help toward a home and a secure start. The money came with no contract, but it came with an understanding. Marriage was supposed to begin with respect. On the afternoon of the wedding, Ellen wore a dark blue dress and my father's silver cufflinks, pinned inside a small velvet pouch in her purse. They had belonged to my father, then to me, and Michael had asked to wear them during the ceremony. Ellen planned to give them to him privately before he walked down the aisle. She never got the chance. An hour before the ceremony, I was in the ballroom speaking with a contractor about a lighting problem when Ellen disappeared. At first, I assumed she had gone to find Michael. Then the orchestra started warming up. Guests filled the room. Cassandra's mother began directing staff as though she owned the hotel. Still no Ellen. I called her twice. No answer. 10 minutes before the ceremony, my phone rang. "Robert," Ellen whispered, "I need you to meet me near the service elevator on the 3rd floor. Please come alone." Her voice was too controlled. That was how she sounded when she was trying not to cry. I found her sitting on a bench beside a housekeeping cart. One sleeve had been pulled down over her wrist. Her purse rested on the floor, open. The velvet pouch was gone. What happened? I asked. I tripped. Ellen, please, Robert. The ceremony is about to start. I crouched in front of her and gently raised her sleeve. 4 red marks were forming around her arm. Finger marks. I felt something cold move through my chest. Who did this? She looked away. Was it Cassandra? Ellen shook her head. Then who? For several seconds she said nothing. Then she whispered, "Our son." The orchestra began playing downstairs. Michael's wedding was starting, while his mother sat beside a service elevator, with a bruise on her arm. I wanted to stop everything. I wanted to walk into the ballroom, take the microphone, and tell every guest exactly what had happened. But Ellen grabbed my hand. "Not here," she said. "He hurt you." "I know. Why?" She swallowed. Cassandra's bridesmaids would not let me into the bridal suite. They said my dress looked wrong in the photographs. I told them I only needed 1 minute with Michael. He came into the hallway already angry. Cassandra had told him I was trying to ruin her day. Ellen's voice broke. I showed him the cufflinks. He said they looked cheap. Then Cassandra came out and asked why the catering staff was blocking the hallway. Everyone laughed. I closed my eyes. What did Michael do? I told him his grandfather would have been proud to see him wear them. He told me to leave. I said I wanted him to remember who he was before all of this. She looked at the bruise. He grabbed my arm. When I tried to pull away, he shoved me against the wall. My purse fell. Cassandra picked up the cufflinks and said she would make sure they did not appear in any photographs. Where are they now? I don't know. Downstairs, the guests applauded. Ellen stood slowly. I cannot watch him marry her, she said. Then we are leaving. We walked out through the service entrance before the vows were finished. At home, Ellen went straight to our bedroom and closed the door. I sat alone in the kitchen until midnight. At 12:17, Michael called. I watched his name flash across the screen. I did not answer. A minute later, a message appeared. "Dad, where did you and Mom go? Cassandra is embarrassed. Call me." Not one word about his mother. Not one word about what he had done. That was when my anger became something else. It became a decision. The next morning, Ellen finally told me the rest. She had gone to the 3rd floor because Cassandra's assistant said Michael was waiting there. When Ellen arrived, no one was waiting. Instead, 2 bridesmaids blocked the bridal suite and told her she had been removed from the family photographs. They said Cassandra wanted a more consistent look. Ellen understood what that meant. The Whitmores did not want the woman in the simple blue dress standing beside them. Ellen tried to leave, but Michael came around the corner. Cassandra followed him with a photographer and 3 attendants. It had not been a private argument. People had seen it. "Why did no one help you?" I asked. Ellen gave me a tired look. Because he was the groom. Because she was the bride. Because everyone was afraid of becoming part of the scene. I knew that kind of fear. In business, people often remained silent when power behaved badly. Silence was easier than risk, but silence also left evidence. I called the Grand Meridian and asked for the director of security. A man named Luis Alvarez returned my call within an hour. I told him my wife had been assaulted in the 3rd floor hallway between 4:30 and 5 in the afternoon. He became careful immediately. "Mr. Hale, I am sorry to hear that. I will review our incident records. There may be camera footage." There was a pause. "That hallway camera was reported offline during a network upgrade." The answer came too quickly. Reported by whom? I would need to check. Please do. 2 hours later, Louis called again. His voice had changed. The main hallway camera was disconnected at 4:12. Accidentally. I cannot say yet. But there is a second system. The hotel recently installed emergency backup cameras near the stairwell doors. They upload directly to an off-site server. Most employees do not know they are active. My hand tightened around the phone. Did it record the hallway? Part of it. Can I see it? Not without authorization. Then preserve it. My attorney will contact you. I had known Margaret Ellis for almost 30 years. She handled contracts, lawsuits, employee disputes, and every problem that required a calm mind and a sharp understanding of consequences. When I explained what had happened, she asked only one question. Does Ellen want the police involved? I looked toward the living room. My wife sat on the sofa with an ice pack against her arm. She is not ready. Then we preserve every option until she is. Do not threaten anyone. Do not post anything online. Do not confront the Whitmores alone. What can we do? What can find the truth? Then we can act without becoming reckless. That afternoon, Margaret sent a preservation demand to the hotel. It ordered them not to delete video, access logs, staff reports, or internal communications related to the 3rd floor. The next surprise came from one of my own employees. Angela Brooks, our vice president of engineering, asked to speak with me privately. She had attended the wedding with her husband. Robert, I heard something before the ceremony, she said. I did not understand it at the time. She told me she had been waiting near the elevators. When Cassandra's assistant spoke into a headset, she said, "The groom's mother is in position. Shut down the hall camera now." I stared at her. Those exact words. Yes, that changed everything. The humiliation had not simply happened. Someone had prepared for it. Margaret obtained the footage 2 days later. Louise allowed us to view it at the hotel with their legal counsel present. The backup camera had no sound, but the picture was clear. I watched Ellen enter the hallway, carrying the velvet pouch. 2 bridesmaids blocked her. Cassandra appeared. Michael arrived moments later. I watched my wife open the pouch and hold out the silver cufflinks. I watched Cassandra laugh. I watched Michael point toward the elevator. Then Ellen said something that made his face harden. He grabbed her arm. She pulled back. He shoved her. Her shoulder struck the wall. Her purse hit the floor. The cufflinks rolled across the carpet. Cassandra bent down, picked them up, and placed them in her handbag. Then Michael leaned close to his mother and said something before walking away. The camera had no sound, but Ellen remembered his words. "You are embarrassing me. Go home before you ruin everything." The footage continued. A hotel employee approached Ellen after they left. It was a young banquet server. He helped her sit down and brought water. He was the only person who stopped. The hotel identified him as Daniel Ruiz. Margaret interviewed him that evening. Daniel confirmed that Michael had shoved Ellen. He also said Cassandra's assistant had told staff not to report family drama unless someone needed an ambulance. Then Margaret found the twist I had not expected. The $100,000 wedding gift was not going toward a house. Michael and Cassandra had already signed a reservation agreement for a luxury apartment in Miami. The payment schedule depended on our gift arriving within 10 business days. Cassandra had also sent messages to a financial advisor describing Michael's expected promotion at my company as guaranteed family leverage. She did not see my son as a husband. She saw him as an investment. And Michael had been so desperate for her approval that he had allowed her family to turn his mother into an obstacle. Margaret asked whether I wanted to release the video. Part of me did. I imagined sending it to every wedding guest. I imagined the Whitmores watching their perfect family image collapse in a single afternoon. But Ellen said no. I do not want strangers replaying the worst moment of my life, she told me. I want peace, not attention. That answer reminded me why I loved her. So we chose a quieter form of justice. A legal one, a personal one, and one Michael would never forget. Margaret Ellis arrived at my office at exactly 8:30 on Monday morning, carrying the leather portfolio she had used through nearly 40 years of legal practice. She greeted me, listened without interruption, and watched every second of the hallway footage. When the screen went dark, she removed her glasses. "Robert," she said, "this is no misunderstanding. I know. What do you want to do?" I looked through the office window toward the construction yard, where workers were unloading steel beams. Many of them had worked beside me for decades. They knew foundations mattered because every building eventually revealed the quality of what had been buried underneath. "My wife deserves peace," I said. "And your son?" I took a long breath. "He deserves consequences," Margaret nodded. "Then we will make sure the consequences are legal, measured, and impossible to misunderstand." The first letter reached Michael that afternoon. It informed him that the promised $100,000 wedding gift would not be transferred. The money had been intended to help two people begin a marriage built on love, respect, and family. Those conditions no longer existed. The second letter suspended Michael from his management position pending an internal review for violations of company conduct standards. Every employee, family member or not, had signed the same agreement: violence, harassment, conduct that damaged the company's reputation. None of those policies contained an exception for my last name. The third letter notified the board that I was withdrawing my recommendation for Michael's promotion. He called within 10 minutes. "Dade, what is this? It is exactly what it says. You cannot suspend me. I already have." "This is because Mom left the wedding." "No, this is because you assaulted your mother." Silence. Then a short, nervous laugh. "You do not know what happened. I watched it." Another silence. "What are you talking about?" I saw the hallway. I heard his breathing change. The cameras were not working. They are now. He did not ask whether Ellen was all right. He did not say he was sorry. Instead, he asked, "Who else has seen it?" That question told me everything. He felt fear, but not yet guilt. Cassandra called Ellen that evening. I sat nearby while my wife answered on speaker. "My husband is losing everything because you are being sensitive," Cassandra said. "You owe Michael an apology for leaving our wedding and creating this disaster." Ellen looked at the fading bruise on her arm. "I owe him prayers," she said quietly, "but I no longer owe him excuses." Then she ended the call. For the first time in days, I saw her shoulders relax. 3 days later, Michael came to our house alone. He looked exhausted. He had not shaved. His expensive suit was wrinkled. Dad sat down. He remained standing. "I just lost my biggest project. Les. The board suspended me." "Yes, Cassandra is furious. I imagine she is." He ran both hands through his hair. "You have made your point." I slowly placed my phone on the table and connected it to the television. Then I pressed play. The hallway filled the screen. Michael watched himself grab his mother. He watched himself shove her into the wall. He watched his new wife steal his grandfather's cufflinks from the carpet. There was no commentary, no accusation, only truth. When the video ended, no one spoke. Finally, I asked him one question. Would you hire a man who treated any woman that way? His eyes remained on the blank screen. No. Would you trust him to lead employees? No. Would you want your future son to learn from him? His shoulders collapsed. I nodded. Neither would I. He began to cry, not loudly, not dramatically. It was the kind of crying that comes after every excuse has been removed. I do not know why I did it, he whispered. I answered before he could hide behind another explanation. Yes, you do. You wanted approval. He looked at me. You spent years trying to impress Cassandra's family. They looked down on us because I poured concrete instead of inheriting stock portfolios. They mocked your mother's clothes. They treated the people who raised you as if we were an embarrassment. Michael stared at the floor. They said Mom looked like the catering staff. I know. Cassandra said the photographs would look better without her. I know. Aid, instead of defending the woman who raised you. I said, you joined them. He covered his face. I joined them. He asked to see his mother. Ellen stepped into the room a minute later. Michael immediately dropped to his knees. Mom, I am sorry. She looked down at the grown man she had carried through fevers, baseball games, broken bicycles, college exams, and heartbreak. I know you are sorry. He reached for her hand. She stepped back. I forgive you. Hope flashed across his face. Then she continued. But forgiveness is not permission to pretend nothing happened. The hope disappeared. You broke something inside me, Michael. I know. No, she said gently. You do not. Not yet. She left the room. Michael remained on his knees. I did not help him stand. Some lessons lose their meaning when a parent makes the landing soft. A week later, Cassandra arrived at my office with her parents and 2 attorneys. They were dressed as though they were attending another wedding. Her father spoke first. This family disagreement has become expensive. I smiled politely. It has. We are prepared to move on. Wonderful. He waited. I waited longer. Finally, he frowned. The suspension must be lifted. No. The wedding gift must be transferred. Cancelled. Michael's promotion should proceed as planned. It is gone. Cassandra leaned forward. You are destroying your son's future. No, I said calmly. He began destroying it in that hallway. She crossed her arms. So that is it. One mistake. I looked directly into her eyes. No one decision. There is a difference. Then Margaret placed an envelope on the table. Inside were printed images from the recovered security footage, Daniel's witness statement, access logs showing when the main hallway camera had been disconnected, and transcripts from phone calls in which Cassandra instructed attendants not to allow Ellen near the bridal suite. There were also copies of Cassandra's messages about our money, Michael's expected promotion, and the Miami apartment. Margaret had prepared everything professionally, carefully, and legally. If any false statement is made about my wife, I said, our attorney is ready to respond. If the hotel investigation shows that someone ordered a security system disabled to conceal an assault, the proper authorities will receive the evidence. Cassandra's father looked at Margaret. Are you threatening us? Margaret closed her portfolio. No. We are explaining the consequences of future choices. For once, the Whitmores had nothing to say. They left within 5 minutes. Cassandra did not return home to Michael that night. Their marriage survived 8 months. During that time, Michael completed the company's internal review. The board found that he had violated conduct rules and damaged the trust required for leadership. His suspension became a termination. I did not vote. I did not need to. The evidence spoke for itself. Michael blamed me at first. He said I had chosen the company over my son. I told him the truth. I chose standards over favoritism. If I protect you from rules that apply to everyone else, I teach every employee that my family matters more than theirs. He did not understand then. Months later, he did. The divorce became final in the spring. Cassandra kept the apartment deposit debt because the reservation had been made through her family trust. Michael moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town. He sold his sports car. He stopped wearing tailored suits. He called every Sunday. Sometimes Ellen answered. Sometimes she did not. Healing follows its own calendar. No court can speed it up. Michael found work with another construction company, not as a manager, as a site supervisor. The owner knew what had happened, because Michael told him during the interview. That mattered to me. He could have hidden the truth, but he did not. He wore a hard hat instead of an expensive watch. He arrived before sunrise. He carried lumber, checked concrete forms, solved problems, and learned what thousands of workers already knew. Respect cannot be inherited. It must be earned every morning. For a long time, Ellen kept the wedding photograph turned face down in a drawer. She could not look at Michael without remembering the hallway. I wanted to fix that for her. But some damage cannot be repaired by another person's anger. Only time, truth, and changed behavior can reach it. Nearly 2 years passed. One Saturday morning, our doorbell rang. Michael stood outside alone. No expensive watch. No designer suit. Only work boots covered in dried cement. In his hands was a small wooden box. "I made something," he said. Ellen stayed behind me as I opened the door. Michael placed the box on the table and lifted the lid. Inside rested my father's silver cufflinks, perfectly restored. Each small scratch had been polished without erasing its history. Ellen covered her mouth. "Where did you find them?" I asked. "Cassandra had them in a storage box. I found them when we divided our property. One was bent. I took them to the jeweler Mom used years ago. Then I built the box myself." He looked at Ellen. "I know I can never undo that day." "You cannot," she answered honestly. "I know. I just wanted Grandpa's cufflinks to come home." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Ellen stepped forward. This time, she placed her hand on his cheek. Not because the pain was gone, because bitterness had finally lost. That Christmas looked nothing like the wedding. There was no ballroom, no orchestra, no crystal chandeliers. There was only our dining room, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and my father's old oak table. The restored cufflinks rested in the center beside one candle. Michael stood before dinner. "I used to think success meant impressing people who barely knew me," he said. "I almost lost the 2 people who loved me before I had accomplished anything." He looked at his mother. "I will spend the rest of my life becoming the son you deserved." No one applauded. Real promises do not need applause. They need years. Michael kept his promise one ordinary day at a time. He attended counseling. He volunteered with a program that taught young men how to manage anger and recognize emotional abuse. He never used his childhood, his marriage, or Cassandra's pressure as an excuse. When he spoke about the hallway, he used clear words. "I assaulted my mother," not "things got out of control," not "everyone was emotional." Do not. "She pushed me too far." Accountability began when he stopped hiding behind softer language. 3 years later, I officially retired from Hale Construction. Many people assumed Michael would replace me. He did not. The board unanimously approved Angela Brooks as our new president. She had worked beside us for 26 years, beginning as an engineering intern and rising through every level by skill and merit. She earned the position. At the company meeting, Michael congratulated her before anyone else did. There was no jealousy in his face, no expectation, no private demand that his last name should have carried him further, I noticed. So did Angela. 2 months later, she offered him a position as operations director. This time, the promotion was not because he was my son. It was because foremen trusted him. Clients respected him. Younger employees sought his advice. He had become the first person on a difficult site, and the last one to leave when someone needed help. Before he accepted, Michael asked Angela one question. "Did my father request this?" She laughed. "Your father told me not to protect you and not to punish you. He told me to judge your work. That is what I did." Michael accepted the job. He earned it. Before signing my retirement papers, I gathered our employees in the main warehouse. Some had been with me since I owned only one truck. Others had started that month. I told them something my own father had taught me while laying bricks under the summer sun. A company can survive losing money. It can survive losing contracts. It can survive bad weather. But the moment it accepts cruelty as normal, every wall it builds already has cracks. The room became silent, not because they had not heard me, because they understood. That evening, Ellen and I sat on our porch during the company picnic. Children chased fireflies across the yard. Music played softly from a speaker near the fence. The air smelled like cut grass and grilled corn. Michael stood nearby helping a young worker repair a loose fence panel before anyone asked him. A little boy watched him tighten a hinge. "Why are you fixing it?" the boy asked. Michael smiled. "Because I noticed it was broken." The answer stayed with me. For years, Michael had noticed broken things and waited for someone else to take responsibility. Now he understood that seeing the damage created a duty to act. Ellen slipped her hand into mine. "I think we got our son back," she said. I looked across the lawn at the man kneeling beside the fence, patiently showing the boy how to hold a wrench. "No," I said. Ellen turned toward me. I smiled. "I think he finally became the man we always hoped he would choose to be." The revenge I wanted on the night of the wedding would have destroyed him. I wanted public shame. I wanted Cassandra's family exposed. I wanted every guest to know what they had done to Ellen. But revenge built from rage burns, everyone standing nearby. Justice was different. Justice canceled the money they thought they controlled. Justice removed the title Michael had not earned. Justice protected my wife without turning her pain into entertainment. Justice forced my son to face himself, and truth gave him a road back. Some people inherit wealth. Some inherit houses. Some inherit businesses. But the greatest inheritance parents can leave behind is the courage to choose what is right, even when doing so costs the people they love. Love without accountability creates entitlement. Love with truth creates redemption. My son lost a wedding gift worth $100,000. In the end, that loss saved him from becoming a man no amount of money could repair. And redemption became the only gift he truly needed.